Good morning, guys. This is Teacher Sonia once again, your English 10 teacher. This is an online class observation with Mary Ann S. Reyes and our principal, Ma'am Maria Teresa S. Aquino. Okay, so I hope that you will be able to learn something from this session. Okay, so last week, or last Monday rather, our discussion is about what? What is our topic last Monday?
Approach in writing critics, ma'am.
Right, so it's about the approaches and what else? Very good. What else? Approaches in writing critique. What's the title of our topic last week?
Kunta.
Oh, you don't know? Mark Mercado? Why? You didn't read? So last Monday, I asked you to read our topic. What is it? Right? Okay, so guys, I'm expecting you to read and study the lessons weekly. Okay, for you to be able to answer your activities correctly. Okay, so our topic last week, to refresh us once again, is about literary analysis or critic. Okay, so it's about literary analysis or critic. Okay, so if you haven't read it, please go back to this lesson and read it again for you to be able to understand. So what do we mean by literary analysis or critic? Will you read, Miss Shandy? Miss Shandy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What do you mean by literary analysis?
Batis ni tita, nag-ano ka?
Ano po yun, ma'am? Pakiulit na lang po, ma'am.
Again, what do you mean by literary analysis or critic?
Is a type of writing that critically evaluates a piece of literary work in detail.
Right. Now, how do we critic? How do we critic? By?
Typically, essay, an article evaluating a literary play, a piece, a review.
All right. So when you say literary critic, we are trying to evaluate a piece of work or evaluating a poem. Okay, evaluating an article or an essay. Okay, now this is how we critic. We critic by writing essay, by evaluating it, or by making a review. Okay, now how do we do it? How do we do it, Mr. Joshua? How do we critic? What do we do? Number one,
Summarize and identify the central issue.
yes, we summarize and identify the
Central issue.
yes. When you say central issue, this is the main issue that is being talked about in that literary work. And second, Miss Eliza, what do we do after summarizing?
Raise question, ma'am.
Yes, we raise questions. And number three, Nimrod.
Take notical and experimental approach.
Everybody say theoretical. Everybody say theoretical.
Theoretical.
Okay,
Theoretical.
so there are theories of approaches in critiquing a certain literary piece. Okay, so we are going to review on those because those are written or discussed in what is it. Okay, so I am expecting that you already read all of those approaches already and you have understood it. Okay, now next, after taking note of those theoretical and experimental approaches, what comes next? Miss Lavinia, what do we do? Hello, Miss Lavinia. Hello. Okay, can you help Miss Shandy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do we do?
Review the content of the results.
Okay, now we review the significance or the importance of what you did. First, you summarize, you raise questions, and we take note of those theoretical and experimental approaches, and then you review what you have written down. All right, now, these are the things that we need to remember. Remember, we have tips in writing critics. Now, when you go to college, when you go to grade 11, grade 12, there might be a time that you're going to critique something. Now, you could apply these tips in writing critics. Now, what is number one? Will you read, Miss Eliza?
Read and understand the text thoroughly,
Thoroughly.
thoroughly, total understanding.
All right. So when you say read and understand thoroughly here means you have your total understanding of what you have read or what you are reading. Okay. So you don't just read without understanding. Okay. You have to understand. Number two, Mr. Nimrod.
Start your critique by writing the basic elements of the story.
Writing. Okay. Now, what are the basic elements of the story, of a story rather? What are those? We have
Title.
okay, very good. Title,
Author.
yes,
Main character,
very good.
setting,
Good job.
And a summary of the story.
Okay, very good. So you have those and then the brief description of the text. Okay, those are the basic elements of the story. Don't forget title, author, characters. Okay, those are the basic elements. Next, number three. What's next? Number three, Mr. Joshua.
Summarize the story plot.
Okay, so you need to summarize. What do you mean by plot? When you summarize a story plot, where do you focus? You focus on the?
Climax in the end.
Okay, so when you say climax, what does it mean? It is the exciting part of the story. So we summarize on the exciting part of the story and the end of the story. And then we state the relevance of the events to the theme. When you say theme, it is what? It is the moral lesson.
Yes.
Okay. And then number four, Nimrod.
Is critiquing the poem focus and the meaning of the lines of stanzas.
And stanzas. We focus on the meaning of the lines. If you wanted to critique a poem, okay, so there are what we call symbols, figures of speech. What do you remember about the figures of speech? When you were in grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, you studied this one already. Figures of speech. We have simile, metaphor. Remember those? Personification, hyperbole, right? You remember remember all those figures of speech, and then connotations. And then simply interpret the poem based from your understanding. When you're reading a poem, you try to understand the meaning, okay, of each lines and then the stanzas. And then number 5, Miss Lavinia. Number 5, Miss Lavinia. What do we do? Miss Lavinia around? Miss Eliza. Number 5. What's number 5? Can you please turn on your camera, Miss Eliza and Nimrod? Turn on your camera, please. Oh, thank you. So what's number 5? Tip number 5.
Literarities justify also why you have such feeling towards the text.
Okay. So you state your impression. You justify your feelings. How do you feel or what do you feel while reading the poem? Okay. Now next, the last one, the last tip for writing a critic. What's that? Huh? Let's read all together. Ready, begin. Choose
Suitable
a suitable
approach.
approach suited to the literary piece being analyzed. Sabi ko po, let's read all together. When I say read all together, all of us will read number 6. Ready, go. Choose.
Choose
I can't hear your voices. Ready, begin.
Choose a
A suitable approach suited to literary piece being analyzed.
analyze.
All right. So you need to what? You need to choose the right approach for that literary piece. Now, what are the approaches in writing critics? What are the 4? Okay. So I asked you to read those approaches last Monday. What are those 4 approaches again? Huh? Do you still remember or you forgot? Hello? What are those 4 approaches?
Formalist
Nice.
approach. No.
Yes. We have?
Formalist approach.
Very good. And then?
Historical approach.
Yes. Okay. So let's start with formalist or structuralist approach. In here, how do we know that it's a formalist approach? When we are reading a certain piece. Okay? What's the cue? Okay, so it says here, author's personal life or the social, historic background of the time the text was written or the reader's bias. So here with formalist approach, the author's personal life is being discussed here, or the historic background of the time when the text was written. Okay, so if you could read the meaning of formalist approach, you could understand. So I told you, you can go back to the discussion on what is it for you to be able to understand formalist approach. And the next one is moralist approach. In this approach, okay, what happened? Or what's the difference of moralist approach to formalist approach? How do we know that this is moralist approach when you are reading a literary piece? Will you read, Mr. Nimrod? What happened? Huh? Nimrod and CJ, turn on your camera, please. Nimrod, oh, you read it, Nimrod. Moralist
A
approach.
author personal life determines whether a work conveys a lesson or message,
Yes.
whether it can help readers have better lives and improves their understanding of the world.
Okay, so in this approach, what is the highlight here? The highlight is on the
Lesson.
Yes, very good, Miss Eliza. About the message or the lesson. Okay, that could help the readers to improve their understanding of the world and their lives. So in this approach, you could easily spot if it's a moralist approach. If the piece that you have read or the piece you are reading is a moralist approach. Next, we have, okay, so,
Feminist approach.
okay, very good. So in this approach, what happened or how do we know that this piece or this literary work is a feminist approach? Mr. CJ, how do we know that a certain piece of literature is about feminist approach? CJ, will you read? Will you read the meaning of feminist approach, Mr. CJ? CJ. CJ. Okay, Mr. Joshua, help CJ. Help CJ, Joshua, read it. Feminist
Feminist
approach.
approach literary criticism is concerned with the
Criticism.
way in which literature relates the
Relate.
economic, political, and
Psychological.
roles of women in general. In this
Oh,
approach, the importance of women in the
women.
society.
Okay, so generally it's about the roles of women in the society and its concern. Okay, so it's about women. Okay, so when it talks about women in the society, that is what we call feminist approach. So you could easily spot, okay, a literary piece about feminist approach. And the last one, the last approach, anybody who could guess? So we have formalist, we have moralist, we have feminist, and the last one, what will be the last approach? Huh?
Historical.
Very good, Miss Eliza. You got it right. It's historical approach. So definitely it's very clear. You have the clue already. It's about what? Historical approach is about what? Miss Ramela. History. So it's about history. So it says historical criticism makes use of historical evidence and investigates the context in which a literary work was written. So what includes this literary work? What includes the historical approach? It includes what? Huh? Includes what? Oh, anyone? It's written here. Includes facts about. Yes, can you please turn on your camera, CJ and Ramela? Author's life and the historical and social circumstances of the time. Okay. So, and then you have factors such as historical events, authors' real life experiences. So I think there is a similarity between a formalist and historical approach. Yes? Have you seen the similarities there? Huh? There is some similarities. Okay, so you have to be careful, okay, when you are analyzing. All right. Okay. Now, any question about the four approaches? What are the four approaches again, Miss Rabela? Time, we ran out of time. 10 minutes na lang is the remaining time. Miss Ramela, Can you please recite the 4 approaches? Miss Ramela. Hello?
Ma'am,
Ramela.
kakapasok ko lang po, ma'am.
Ay, Miss Ramela. We have discussed this already since Monday. I asked you to read about it. Okay. So who would like to help Miss Ramela? What are the 4 approaches again?
Formalist approach, moralist approach, feminist approach, historical approach, ma'am.
Very good. So those are the 4 approaches. Okay. Now we are going to have our quiz. Okay. About the topic. Now, have you answered activity 1 already? Those of you, okay, who have seen activity 1, have you answered them already? Hello? Have you answered them already?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So since you already answered them, let's try to recite. Okay, let's have a recitation. Okay, wait a minute. All right, so I'm gonna stop the screen. All right, so Shandy, were you able to answer? Activity 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so would you like to get your paper? Can you please get your paper? Okay. Mr. Joshua, do you have your paper with you? Huh? Joshua, do you have your paper with
Ma'am.
you? Do you have your paper with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you like to read number 1? Number 1.
Ano pong week?
Okay. All right. Number 1. You don't have your paper with you? Okay. So guys, you are going to submit your activity number 1 with Teacher Sonia. You take a picture of it and send it. Okay. So let's listen first to Shandy. Shandy, will you read number 1? Have you answered it? Miss Ramela, are you done? Okay, so every time we have a discussion, guys, you have to be ready, okay? All right, because we only have 40 minutes with our Zoom. Okay, so we'll be able to minimize our time. Okay, someone chatted. Okay. All right, so they have a slow internet. Mr. CJ has a slow internet. Now, since you only have 10 minutes extension, I think we're about to stop. Now, you have submitted your answers already, okay? And I have shown you the correct answers. Okay, so I would like to open the slides about that. Okay. Oh my goodness, but I think okay, I don't know if I could go back there. Let me see. Okay. We might have run out of time, but I will still try to open it. Okay. It's here. So we'll try to answer and recite. Okay, it's here. Before we run out of time, we only have 5 minutes. Let's answer the following questions quickly. Oh my goodness. All right, it's here. Oh, come on. All right, it's here. So, all right. Let's try to answer. 4 minutes left. Okay, it's here. Okay, so you're going to identify. You are going to identify if it is a formalist, a feminist, a moralist, or historical approach. Okay? So, number 1, Shandy, number 1, read and answer. Number 1. So, you're gonna identify if it is a formalist, a feminist, a moralist, or historical approach. So, we are going to answer it orally. Number 1, Miss Shandy.
Takes a look at the significant roles of women in the society.
Okay, everybody say women.
Women.
Women, all right. So takes a look at the significant roles of women in the society. What is the answer? Formalist, F-O, feminist, F-E, moralist, M-O, or H-I for historical. Answer?
Feminist.
All right, very good, Miss Shandy. Okay, so the answer is F-E, number 2. Number 2, Miss Ramela.
Includes comment on choice of words and scope vocabulary.
All right, so what's the answer here? Formalist, feminist, F-E, moralist, or historical approach? What do you think is the answer?
F-A.
F?
F-A.
Is it about women? Includes comment on choice of words and scope vocabulary. Formalist, feminist, feminist for women. Moralist, if there's a lesson here, and historical approach about history. So what's the answer? Anyone who could guess? Eliza, what's the answer?
HI.
Is it about history? Comments on choice
F-O,
of words.
F-O.
F-O.
F-O, right, very good. Next, number 3, analyzes the rhyme scheme of a sonnet. Analyzes the rhyme scheme. F-O, very good. Number 4, relates the story to a significant real-life events.
H-I.
Okay, real-life events, very good. H-I. Number 5, discusses a value inculcated to the hearts and minds of the readers.
M-O.
M-O, so it's moralist. Next, number 6, describes the kind of language used in a text.
M-O.
Kind of language used in a text.
M-O, ma'am.
Huh?
M-O.
M-O, that's moralist. Describe the kind of language used in a text.
F-O, ma'am.
F-O, yes. Number 7, stresses out an action of a character worthy of emulation. There's a character.
M-O, moralist.
M-O, moralist, very good. Number 8, points out an era essential to the achievement of author's purpose in writing.
F-O, ma'am.
F-O, very good. Number 9, mentions the genre to which the text belongs.
F-O, ma'am.
Okay, number 10, glorifies feminine traits.
F-E.
F-E, very good. So let's see our answers here.
That's one.
Now I ask you guys, may I remind you to please answer activity 2 also on your paper, and please don't forget to take a picture